Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to Gills in the Blood TV for another midweek review with myself and Boz as we go through the last few days at Gillingham Football Club and then look ahead to Saturday. Nice easy one. At home to high-flying Peterborough United. So we'll get on to that in a little while. But before we do, Tuesday night there was a friendly game.
Quite a strong team as well.
I was going to say, we sent out a pretty strong side, didn't we? So I'm not sure of the team exactly, but Darren Oldacre, Connor Wilkinson and Elliot List scored the goals in a 3-1 win. So good to see them get on a score sheet. Hopefully build a bit of confidence for all three. Gabriel Zaquani got an hour, so you'd imagine he comes into contention for Saturday.
I think he walked straight back in.
I hope so. Josh Reese got good minutes again. Connor Ogilvie got good minutes, and Naveed Nasseri, the forgotten man, got good minutes. So, by all accounts, a decent exercise.
Nasseri got another good review. I think that's two
and two.
Games.
Was that? And
yeah,
who was it last week? Was it Welling, wasn't it, in the Kent Cup game? Yeah. So
surely he comes into contention.
Whether he starts the game, or at least gets the chance to come off the bench, we shall see. We shall wait for Saturday. But yeah, all in all, I think it served a purpose. I think tickets were reasonably priced for anyone that went down there. And weirdly enough, the lad who I manage on a Sunday, who plays up front for me, was in goal for Faversham on
Benham.
Tuesday night. Tom Benham. It was quite weird seeing his name repeatedly get shown on the Gills Twitter feed. So fair play to him. Well done, Tom. By all accounts, had a solid enough game as well. Did text me on Wednesday morning saying that he's a bit battered and bruised and he's doubtful for my game on Sunday now because, and in the words of him, I got battered by a six foot geezer called him Bo. So, I did reply say he's only a kid, bless him. So I didn't get a reply after that. But anyway, back to the serious stuff. Steve Lovell, back of Medway Messenger. Defending has to come first, and we have to get back to basics.
It's 2 weeks ago, didn't I?
Yeah, and there's another point I want to make as well. Steve says it's all right being an attacking-minded fullback or a ball-playing centre-half, but you have to defend. That is ultimately what you are there for. To elaborate on that, 3 weeks ago, Sunderland, Coventry, even Burton to a degree when we were playing well, we said we just looked a little too open, didn't we? And it seemed that we'd lost a little bit of that defensive stability because we want to be on the front foot.
When you go all out attack, well, it was like that.
What, you mean like when you go to Barnsley on FIFA and you play 4 strikers and 2 as wing? Oh no, we actually did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just seems we've lost a little bit of that defensive stability because we're so intent on getting on the front foot. And I think Reece and James mentioned it on their fancast and said, is that because Steve Lovell's so desperate for the home form to be better this season that he's almost subconsciously not helping it?
I don't think the whole chopping and changing every 5 minutes helped. No,
and obviously we've had a few injuries, but beginning of the season, when we didn't have injuries, apparently we had a massive squad full of quality and loads of options. Yet suddenly we lose a few, and
they're not good enough.
No one gets trusted. Hardly anyone gets trusted. Yeah, Coventry, not Coventry, Wimbledon a couple of weeks ago, prime example. DJ Oldacre, Nolan Bow, Naveed Nasseri. They were all candidates to get on the pitch just to try and pinch a goal, but none of them were brought on by Steve Lovell for whatever reason. And then a little bit more, anyway, back to defensive basics. He then goes on to say the goals last Saturday came from defenders not doing their defensive duties. Yet Monday, I spoke about in the Monday review, he said how good Barry Fuller and Bradley Garmston were. So that's half the defence. He's bigging up, and yet here he's saying they were poor. My personal opinion was all 3 goals were soft. The first one, only looking at the highlights, Garmston and Lacey were out muscles.
I think one of them switches off.
The third one's a good finish, but they have about 3 days, don't they, to pick a pass. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they had time to make lunch, have a cup of tea, sit down, read the paper, and then pick a pass.
And do a YouTube video.
They probably could have done, yeah, and then score over a kick. Very nice. I was going to say something then. And Monday, I said on the Monday review, it's bad enough losing to a team that's in and around you.
Yeah.
We lost to a side that effectively had 2 people out of position in wide attacking areas, with a combined age, I think, of 76, 75. Calvin Andrew and Aaron Wilbraham played as wingers.
Aaron Wilbraham's got to be about 39 now.
He was 77 when he was born, I think, when he was born old. They played as a left-sided and a right-sided attacker, and then they had Ian Henderson through the middle, and we got absolutely beaten up by them, like Steve Lovell mentioned on Monday. But in terms of positives, we will try and be a little bit positive. Well, I'm trying to. I don't know if Boz is capable at the moment.
I'm running out of scores.
This man, coming back on your screen right now, is available Saturday. Regan Charles Cook is fit, according to this. we're not fans generally of players coming straight back into the side after injury, especially muscular injuries. Dean Parrott did it last week, and by all accounts was one of the very few positives. After Mr. Lovell had been a little bit contradictory again when he'd said that we were poor and that if anyone was dropped they couldn't have a problem with it, and then he named about 6 that were really good and it didn't make sense. But anyway, that's done. Regan Charles Cook is fit. Best player this season for me, along with probably Brandon Hanlon right at the beginning.
At the end of August, didn't I? As my player of the month.
Yeah, he was really good. I think I went for Tom Eaves, I think, on the fact that he'd scored 4 goals and we were playing well in August, and his goals were a big part of that. But we said in terms of the new signings, Hanlon, Charles Cook, we didn't know a lot about, and they'd come in, they'd been really good. I think he's vital to the way that Steve Lovell wants to play, and I think Steve Lovell touches on that. He wants us to play on the front foot, and he wants us to play with pace and get in behind and run beyond defenders.
He's in a similar sort of player to Sean Clare, and you can give him the ball and he's going to make chances, he's going to move you up the pitch.
Quickly, yeah, exactly, and he gets you on the front foot, and he's everything that we've not been ever since he's been out the side, unfortunately. So hopefully he can get involved in some part. I'd be inclined to start him, but we'll get to team names in a little while. I think he's almost as important as like Dean Parrott and Gabriel Zakuani in that sense, and we need a spark from somewhere, don't we? But yeah, good to see him back. We shall wait and see how much of a part he plays. Monday night, Steve Lovell was on the radio, did a Q&A on Radio Kent for an hour. Fair play, good to see that. I think similarly, I'll be honest, I didn't listen. I had no interest in it on Monday night. I thought it would just be exactly the same as
I thought it would be the same recycled answers to be
as the summer one,
and I thought the questions would all be budget related. It sounded like...
Apparently they were, and it seemed that people didn't learn, and one answered it, told them they weren't answering it, and then 2 or 3 phoned in and asked the same question, or whether it was that they'd already sent in questions via tweets or something, I'm not sure. But for me, I didn't have a lot of interest in it. I didn't listen to it. For me, I think what you just said as well, it was just going to be regurgitated answers, and perhaps Steve Lovell just making a few excuses about the recent poor run. If you chose to listen, fair play. If you enjoyed it, excellent. It's everyone's personal choice at the end of the day, but it wasn't for me on Monday. But talking of Steve Lovell, inside, is he trying to get fans back on side and make him feel a little bit sorry for him, or is he just saying it how it is?
He doesn't seem to turn around and go, okay, I got it wrong. It seems to
which is
push
the concern.
The blame.
This is the headline. Inside of the Medway Messenger, we lose a few games and people see you as this ogre with 3 heads. Interesting analogy. He goes on to say about players, they're not losing on purpose, they're not playing badly on purpose. I don't think any Gillingham fan is saying that. Well, 99% are. There's probably a few that would say it because it suits an agenda. The same that the people who have to tweet the club every 2 minutes and complain that the chairman needs to go every time we release a team sheet or we announce a signing, they have to complain about the budget, or we lose a football match and they have to complain and say fans are entitled to a retweet. But obviously this bloke's not listening because he's unsubscribed and he's got no interest in me or anyone that supports the channel. So anyway, Steve Lovell comes out and says, they've responded well. I've been in so many dressing rooms where people say, oh, he has lost the dressing room. And I said to the players, there is no way that I will ever lose your job because I won't put myself in that position to do that. I'm too honest. They can come and talk to me. I will tell them if they're not playing and why they're not playing. And more often than not, they will know that themselves. I've got no issue with that.
What I will say is, he's kind of contradicting himself because he's calling players out individually week after week.
Yeah, and then he's saying that it's they can come and see him in the dressing room. It just... probably as much as us and as the fans and the players, and he needs a performance, probably more than some points at the moment. I've listened to the Fancaster down the way, and I think you've just listened to it before you've come round. I think Reece touched on it and said, if we get beat on Saturday, so be it. Peterborough are going to beat a lot of sides better than us this season. But what we want to see is we want to get Gillingham back to where they were the first 3-4 weeks of the season, where we're being positive.
The scoreline didn't tell the whole story.
Scoreline massively flattered Sunderland, and that comes from Sunderland fans.
A lot of positives.
But we need a performance. We need to be working hard. We need to be doing our duty.
It doesn't help that Steve Evans is now their manager, and he tends to get our fans' backs up.
That could help us, because a lot of times last season, this season, Coventry was an example. I think the referee made a slightly dodgy decision, the crowd got up and then suddenly the players fed off it, so it might need something like that. It might need Steve Evans to act like a bit of an idiot, or he doesn't probably even have to act to be a bit of an idiot.
Just to be in the vicinity, I think.
He's a very good manager at this level, and you can't argue with his results, but he's a bit of a tool, let's be honest.
That's a polite way of putting it.
Kids are watching. So yeah, anyway, that's the weekly roundup. We are talking about Steve Evans, who obviously is manager of this lot coming up on your screen. They are absolutely flying. Their first defeat was last Saturday against, I think, now the only other side unbeaten in the division. And, the only side unbeaten.
For people that think our fans are really negative, last weekend they'd lost for the first time and their poor chairman was getting bombarded with tweets saying that they'd overhauled the squad too much, and it's just the way football fans are.
That's ridiculous. You're never going to please everyone. Were they complaining about the player turnover for the first 7 games of the season where they're beating everyone up? They scored 20 goals in 8 games. And
he was getting rinsed before the season started because of how many they brought in. Yeah.
I wrote down here, hit the ground running considering the player turnover. I think it's been astonishing. I thought they'd take a while to get going. What was it? They brought in like 18 new signings and got rid of about 13 or 14. They've got one who plays centre half, and I've mentioned him every time we play Peterborough. I'd love at the football club. That's Ryan Taffazoli. I think I did him in a potential targets a couple of seasons ago when he was still at Mansfield, probably out of our league unfortunately in terms of budget, but he's just proven to get better and better.
Jack Baldwin now, he's gone to Sunderland.
He went to Sunderland, but they bought in a couple of others. I mean, in terms of
when you look through their squads,
can't get in the side at the moment.
The names on that list.
Jason Cummings and Matt Godden have got 14 between them already this season. Godden's going to goal a game.
Just come in, isn't he?
He's already scored for him. Sariki Dembele, Colin Daniel, Ryan Taffazoli I've already mentioned. There's plenty of others.
Marcus Maddison is still there.
Can hardly get a game. He's only played about 5 games because he can't get in the side.
Because, he wasn't playing pre-season because he was off.
Yeah, I think there was talk of him leaving, wasn't there? And it didn't go quite how he planned or whatever.
But they're flying without him at the moment, so...
Yeah, they are. I mean, Portsmouth are a very good side, and Portsmouth are going to beat plenty of good sides this season. So, no disrespect or no harm in losing to them. In terms of team news for us, we're actually almost back to full strength. I think it's only Billy Bingham that's not available. Zakwani's back, Regan, Charles Cook's back. I think everyone else is available. So, suddenly we do have these options that Steve Lovell liked to talk about at the beginning of the season. In terms of form, they couldn't be more contrasting at the moment. They've taken 13 points from the last 6, winning 4, drawing 1 and only losing to Pompey. We've taken 1 point from 18 available, and that was that horrendously poor get out of jail any list moment against Coventry. Yeah. So we desperately need a performance, as I've said already, probably more than a result. If we go and have a really good go and we get beat 2-1 or 1-0 or whatever, at least we can say, yes, this is Gillingham and we're still doing, and there is a plan. At the moment, I think we've just got away from what we were doing at the start of the season, and I think everybody's heads have got a bit frazzled a bit.
A good game, and the players have lift their heads and lift their spirits. And
Steve Lovell's first game last season was away at
Peterborough.
When 1-0. Away to Rotherham, no one expected us to get anything. No one at Scunthorpe, no one thought we'd go to Charlton. Wigan at home first couple of games in charge.
I would say that was last season now.
It is this season, of course, but what I'm trying to say is if we are clinging to straws or whatever and we're running out of them to clutch onto, that we generally are better against better sides. We struggle more against teams that are around us. What we've got to stop doing is giving everyone a 2-goal head start. And if we do that, and I think if we get people in the right system and in the right position, I think we could get something. I'm not saying we're going to batter them by any stretch of the imagination. And at the same time, if we don't play people in the right system and in the right positions and we don't do our jobs properly, we could get an hiding.
We don't want to see Luke O'Neill playing as a right-sided striker.
Never ever again, because as good as Luke O'Neill is, he's never been a right winger and he never will be a right winger. And unfortunately, I think that then comes, and maybe that's having a little effect on his form and others' form, because they're being moved here, there and everywhere and they don't know what they're doing. So let's just get back to basics like Steve Lovell said. I think he's right in that respect. Let's put people in the right position. Let's pick a system. I'm going to pick a system that might surprise you. But it's one we've used a lot.
I'm not going to go too different to what I've been saying the last couple of weeks.
I'm going back to 4-4-2 diamond this week.
I'm sticking with 3 at the back.
But only because I think we've got the people now available, if they're fit, to play it. You think first game of the season we had...
Doesn't play with wingers.
Hanlon up front, Regan, Charles Cook played in a diamond, Dean Parrott played in that diamond, Mark Byrne played in that diamond. We've got them all available. Gabriel Zakwani, Max Amon, that was last season, but they were our best pairing and have been for a while. So you stick them in. So for me, I'll go Thomas Oley in goal. I think Barry Fuller stays at right back. I don't think Luke O'Neill's done enough.
I've got Fuller staying in just because of their... I think Fuller's better defensively than O'Neill.
I've gone Amar, Zakwani and Garnison because I've gone a back 4. I've then gone... Because it seems that this is not... I wouldn't necessarily do it if it was I was the manager, but I think if we're going to play the diamond, Steve Lovell will play Dean Parrott from the base. And then I'd have Callum Riley, Mark Byrne, either side. I'm not saying they've been great, but they're probably 2 of our best central midfielders on their day. So let's put them in, try and get a strong spine. I'd have Regan, Charles Cook at the tip of that diamond. And I'd go with See, because I was going to go back, I almost reverted to type Accrington, first game of the season when we played with pace. I was almost tempted to partner Parker and Hanlon up front. But I'm going to go Hanlon and Eves. Eves came on against Burton when Parrott went off and was very, very good. Hanlon was exceptional in that game with Regan, Charles Cook in behind. So I just think we can thrive. And then it gives us two types of centre forward as well. I think if you go Parker and Hanlon, they're a little bit samey. So that's my team. My bench is Hadler, O'Neill, Lacey, Nasseri, List, Parker, Wilkinson. Yours is a back three.
Yeah, obviously there's the usual three centre halves with Lacey in there.
So effectively you're putting Lacey in with my five already.
Yeah.
And then
I'll say Fuller stays in for me just because he's slightly better defensively. Garnson left back, left wing back.
Yep.
I'm going to change it slightly with three flat centre midfielders in Riley, Byrne and Parrott. And I'll put Charles Cook just in front of him with Eves up top on his own.
It's almost like a 3-5-1-1.
Because I just think we need to sort out, we've got to stop conceding goals, end of.
Yep.
And for that to work, Tom Eves has to stay in the middle. We can't keep drifting out wide. And
my only concern with that would be, are we inviting pressure on if we're playing effectively six midfielders?
Possibly, but
we can change it, can't we? Yeah.
I mean, if you have the likes of List and Hanlon and Wilkinson on the bench, there's plenty.
And also, if you needed to do that, you could almost go back to a 4 and you could push Amar into midfield. I know it's a little bit square pegs round holes, but he did that anchor role last season very well, and then you could go him.
And if you're going to start with three centre mids, you can always take one off to get another striker on.
Yeah, and obviously it all depends on how it pans out and whether we're winning the game 1-0 or 2-1 or 3-1 or losing the game 1-0 or 2-1. We might need to chuck on an attacker or whatever.
I don't like to set up at games not to lose, but I think if we get a hammer in and we play bad, it's the first time I've been Peter Taylor.
Uncle Peter.
I just think at the moment we're struggling to clutch it. If we can keep a clean sheet, then that's a start.
Keep a clean sheet, you earn a point, worst case. So yeah, fair enough, I can understand that. For me, I'd just be worried we'd encourage them on a bit.
That's how we'll play, but if I was picking the team for Saturday...
That's fair enough, yeah, no problem. So, predictions. It's that time. I've got mine written down.
I'll try not to go against us, so I've gone 1-1 with Tom Eves to score.
So we are staying a little bit positive. I've gone 2-2. Eves and Regan, Charles Cook to score. But again, it comes back to what I said. We have to get people in the right position and we have to make sure that every single one of them players, whether it's 11 of them, 12 of them, 13 or 14 of them on the day, they've all got to do their job. If they don't, and a few of them are off it, Peterborough probably tear us apart. But for me, Peterborough are one of them clubs that do chuck in the odd one where you think, where's that come from?
Yeah,
I said last season, they can win 8 or 9 on the bounce and then they could go 6 or 7 without picking up any points. Yeah. So let's just hope that last week is the start of one of them runs and we can get something. I think the point would be an excellent result at the moment. It'd stop the rot and it'd just give everyone a bit of confidence, wouldn't it? I mean, if we lose tomorrow and suddenly it's 3 defeats from 5 at home and we're suddenly looking at...
We Shrewsbury away, I think, after that.
That becomes even bigger then, doesn't it? Because that's another team that's in and around us.
Just out of interest, did you see, I think I retweeted it yesterday, there's a guy who did he done like a graph and it was split into 4 and it was points taken when they should have had, where they've been unlucky, and it was based on the amount of shots teams have had during games.
We've had loads.
Yeah, and we were in the should be doing better category basically because of the amount of shots we've had. And when you go on shots, then we've deserved to win games when we actually haven't. But I'd imagine a lot of them haven't come in the last 4 games. That's probably up to like Sunderland and Walsall again, and then it's probably stopped and it's gone right the other way. But yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting read. 1 or 2 that were on the line. Take a lot. I mean, I like a stat, but the people that do all that research for them, fair play. Some good stuff. Right. That's enough from us rabbiting on. Saturday we'll be at the ground. I think Stocky's coming as well. Yep. So all 3 of us will be about for Match Day Live. Come and say hello if you want to get involved. Come and give us your match predictions. We don't mind. As always, there's a little box down there on YouTube. Lost a few subscribers this week. Can't imagine why. Probably because we're getting a bit negative. Can't imagine why. Or because we dare question people that want a refund every time we lose, but never mind. Like I say, he won't be watching, so it don't matter. Anyway, we'll see all of you at the ground on Saturday for Match Day Live. Hopefully the Gills can put in a better performance. Until next time, up the Gills.